take place in our auditoriums or our theaters. They're a central part of our education program, and whether it be a film or maybe a live animal demonstration is a better example. You really got the folks' attention when you bring in a big alligator and you walk around and talk about the fact that yes, we have alligators here in North Carolina.
They just don't want to believe it.
That's right.
I know it's not your primary responsibility, but you live with it every day. What about environmental protection and environmental care as you see it on the coast today? Are we doing enough to preserve this wonderful heritage?
Well, the pressures on really all of the state, with growth, are always going to be there. It is a challenge to try to manage that growth, to develop our coastal property or our Piedmont property, for that matter, in such a way to minimize the impact on the environment. It's a challenge, and there are so many complexities to that challenge that sometimes it's difficult to zero in on what's right and what's wrong. But yes, the aquarium is very much involved with that when it comes to talking with families from perhaps out of state or perhaps from somewhere in the Piedmont about the fact that what happens in the rivers in the Piedmont part of the state are going to have an impact down at the coast, because that's where the water's going. So we do see that happen on a regular basis at the aquariums.
Is it not in the city of Atlanta where they built that gigantic aquarium not too long ago? Is there any relationship you maintain with others all over I know they're all over the United States, but I would think they'd lean on you pretty heavily for specimens.
Well, aquariums are very popular all around the country, and the new Atlanta aquarium that you mentioned is certainly a masterpiece. I mean, it's the largest aquarium in the world. That's the way they build themselves. But we are involved in a sense that we are all accredited by the American Zoo and Aquarium Association, which is a rigorous accreditation process we go through every 5 years. And so we are connected very well with not only there, but aquariums in Baltimore and Tampa and Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Chicago, and all around the country. It works very well.
Down at Asheboro, you go in there where the polar bears are. Do you work with Dr. Jones? Are you all in touch all the time? Right.
We are both, we're sister agencies in the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, so we have a lot of connectivity with the zoo and their great programs and the things that they have to offer. Our missions are different. We don't have the same animals necessarily, but there is a lot of connection between what the zoo has with regard to their environmental messages and conservation messages, as well as the aquariums.
So the burden of this conversation to people in your immediate areas, bring the children on. We want to teach them, and we want them to learn something about their coast.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, even though we've got 1.2 million, we're always ready for more visitors. There's still a lot of people in North Carolina who have not visited our aquariums, and we hope to get them down there this summer to come and experience what we're all about.
Well, now I want to go back to your book again for a minute.
Sure.
And viewers, if you don't own this book, I hope you'll go to your bookstore and get it. It's a wonderful piece of your history of North Carolina. But what would you say to all of us as hurricane season approaches now? What are the things we ought to think about and be preparing to do?
Well, particularly if you live at the coast or you have property at the coast, think ahead. Consider the fact that regardless of what they predict for this season or next season, how many storms we're going to have, one day we're going to get another hurricane on the coast that's going to be significant. It may be a Category 3 like Fran, or who knows, maybe even one day a Category 4 like Hazel or Hugo. And when that happens, it helps to be prepared, to have a personal plan of what you will do with your family, what you'll do with your business, and how you'll respond. There are a lot of things that you can do. You can go on multiple websites and get these checklists of things to look out for. But really preparation is key, and to avoid that complacency with regard to hurricanes. That's the biggest danger. That's what our emergency management officials fear most, is that we'll forget the lessons from the past and not really think about how vulnerable we are to the next big storm.
And you're talking to people up country and in the mountains as well as here, the burden being watch,
right,
track that storm whenever the season comes, to know if it is really, if you are in the range of it.
And there's some simple things you can do too. Know the elevation of your home. Know the flooding history of your neighborhood. Know the evacuation routes and the shelters in your area. Know what you would do, where you would go if a big storm came rolling through.
What do you do when it hits the Outer Banks now with the aquarium? You just board it up?
Well, the aquarium, fortunately, is a pretty substantial structure, and our biggest concern, of course, is loss of power, because electricity is pretty important for keeping the aquariums running. So we have some pretty big generators that will run the show, but yeah, we are always watching the weather reports, and how fortunate we are to be able to turn on the TV or go to the internet and see a storm, 4 or 5 days away, and know, at least have some idea of where it might go. That's a luxury that we enjoy today that previous generations did not have, and so we should be fortunate to think about that.
I read in here that you're in contact with the Weather Channel we see on cable television all the time. You and Steve Lyons constantly talk in the hurricane season?
No, we chat every now and then. Steve is a good friend. He actually wrote the foreword for my Florida hurricane book. And so we're connected, but I try to leave him alone when hurricane season comes. He's got a big job to do.
Thank you, Jay Barnes. It's been wonderful to talk with you, and thank you for being such a good teacher to us all.
My pleasure to be here.
Time, and I know, friends, you've enjoyed hearing what he had to say. We'll be mindful of his good teaching. Till next week, then, have a good week and good night.
Sponsored in part by Wachovia, helping North Carolina people realize their financial goals since 1879. And through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC TV.